Hi guys, welcome back. So I'm going to review the Rugby Championship 2021, which the All Blacks won, but really I'm looking at where the four sides are at the moment, in my opinion, just having watched the games, but I really want to know what you guys think as to where these four sides are. So mine's just one take, your opinion's equally as valid, of course. So all the results and the table up on the screen next to me there, but let's start with Argentina in 4th place, probably unsurprisingly. At the moment, New World Rankings are out there in at 8th. Now, they're always going to struggle in this competition, and of course they have. Of course, they've had big wins in the past as well. However, no wins this time. 6 losses, minus 135 points, and 0 points in total in the championship. So, a really poor return, and they didn't really get close to winning games. Now, look, they're a decent side. They're just up against the 3 best sides in the world, according to the world rankings at least. So they're going to struggle a lot. Now, of course, they want to be in this competition because of all the prestige and the money, but it's a bit of a double-edged sword because they're always going to struggle. Anyway, game plan-wise, I was a little disappointed, to be honest. It's probably not the best iteration of Argentina I've seen in recent times. They've got fairly good basics, they can be very strong. Their carries can get over the gain line quite nicely at times. It's just playing a basic game against these 3 sides probably isn't enough. They need to try a little bit more for me. Not quite accurate enough, not quite disciplined enough, and they didn't get close. South Africa, if they want to play a basic game plan, they're going to do it a lot better than Argentina do. Australia, New Zealand, their ball-in-hand play is outstanding and can blow them away. So I think Argentina need to go back to the drawing board and come up with some really inventive ways of trying to beat these sides. Because in this championship, I didn't really see a lot of invention. Anyway, they've got a few more games in the autumn, up north, France, Italy and Ireland. Look fairly tough, of course. Italy is the one they would expect to win because Italy 14th in the world. Argentina 8th, they probably should win that one. If they can get one more win out of France or Ireland, I think they'll be fairly happy. But if they just come away with a win against Italy, having lost all these games in the Rugby Championship, it'll be a pretty disappointing season for them. So on to South Africa. 3 wins, 3 losses, in 3rd. But a very good finish to the tournament with that massive win against New Zealand. So a little bit of ups and downs for them. Back-to-back losses against Australia would have hurt a lot. That was pretty painful. But of course, they finished in such fantastic style. And it showed them actually near their best. It showed what they can do. Now, let's say it now, South Africa have had a tough time. It's quite easy to, beat South Africa and say they're a bit boring at times, and some of their antics with the physios and the videos and stuff, can be close to the line, but they've had a tough season, didn't play for an awful long time, came out of that and beat the British and Irish Lions, which is super impressive, and they've been in their bubbles away from their families. It's seriously tough. And at least for them, finishing the Rugby Championship in that way was great, and they probably could do with all going home and calling the season a day there, but they do have to go up north. So I do feel for these players, and they're putting in such a great shift. You've got to respect them for that. Positive-wise, players, I've been so impressed with the engine room. Etzebeth, Mostert, Vermeulen, those big guys in the second and back row, really stepping up. Maybe Pollard's not been quite so hot at times. Willy Leroux certainly made a lot of errors in the last game and is prone to an odd error. So not a perfect setup. There may be some players looking to come in. Fassie's a player I talked about in the British and Irish Lions tour who I'd like to see come in maybe at fullback. But let me know what you think player-wise they need to do. Do they need to rest some players, bring some other players out because of their long season already? Anyway, they won the Lions series. 3rd in the Rugby Championship, but if they can get some good results in these autumn internationals, they'll probably be very happy with their season considering all the extenuating circumstances. So they play Wales, Scotland and England. England, of course, being the Rugby World Cup rematch. Wales and Scotland, they would hope to win, of course, being ranked number 1 in the world still after that win against New Zealand. And then if they can get another win against England, really putting the boot in after the win in the World Cup final, 3 from 3 wins, they would be absolutely delighted. It's certainly possible for them. I think it's all about mental and physical freshness to see if they can carry through this incredibly long season right to the end with a win against England. Let me know if you think they will. So let's talk Australia. Second place in the Rugby Championship, 4 wins, 2 losses, well deserved, and kind of the surprise package. Now certainly myself and many of you guys commenting thought that Australia could be a bit average to poor this season, especially considering their domestic teams have not looked that clever, really struggled in the Trans-Tasman competition against the New Zealand sides. But, you know, poor domestic sides doesn't necessarily mean a poor national side, because you only got to get, 15/23 players together. And what they've done is formed a really, really strong team identity, team unity, and they all seem to know what they're doing, certainly towards the end of that championship. However, at the start, they were regularly committing rugby suicide, which was really frustrating some of you guys out there, Australian fans. Those intercept passes were absolutely killer. What was the turning point? Well, it probably was bringing back Quade Cooper, the hero of the day. Lolosio, Tamua, O'Connor, they're all okay 10s, but I don't think they've got the all-round game. Quade Cooper, who in the past didn't have the all-round game either, has now come back in his 30s, I think it was 33 now, and has finally worked out every bit of his game. He doesn't miss tackles, he's a good goal kicker, he's got a great attitude, and of course he's got that passing and sidestepping ability still. And what a fantastic way to come in and bring Australia back into the fold, into second place. Now certainly it's a bit of a push getting him through to 2023, 35 years old. Is it too old? I don't know. If they can't use him in the World Cup, that will be a bit of a disappointment, because I don't see that all-round 10 yet. But we'll see. Let me know if you think he's going to make it. I hope he does, to be honest. Player-wise, they've got a smattering of world-class players, in and amongst some, good hard grafters as well, and that's not doing them down. I mean, Hooper and Tupou in the forwards are possibly, Tupou's probably going to be a superstar. Hooper is a superstar, and the rest of the forwards are pretty hard grafters, can match it physically and in the set piece. And the back line looks really good. White and Cooper, the 9-10, look quality, very assured, good game management. Karevi at 12 is their absolute game breaker. I think he got injured in the last game. Let me know how he is. I didn't hear an update. Betty again on the wing, absolutely outstanding, and maybe in the future Kellaway is going to be a bit of a superstar as well. So they've got good players, and they've got good backup players from those honest grafters up front. So anyway, Quade Cooper, White, they give them the control. Can they keep that going through to the World Cup? And in the autumn, they're playing Japan. I think that might be a bit of a B team because they've got 4 games. Then Scotland, England and Wales. Be fascinating to see how many wins they get out of that. Of course, long season, of course. Can Scotland, England and Wales, can their pack get on top of the honest players in the Australian front row, in the second row? We will see. Let me know how you think they're going to go there. Now let's get to the winners. New Zealand, the All Blacks, actually second in the world rankings now after that loss to South Africa. And in some ways, it's probably better they did lose that final game. Sounds a bit weird, but they've got some cracks in their game. They've got some areas that aren't quite up to the normal All Black standard, if you like. But certainly, their broken field running, some of their set-piece attacks with ball in hand are absolutely mesmeric. Some worldy tries. And if they won that last game against South Africa, maybe there'd be a bit of a complacency that everything's okay. And it is not quite, to be honest. The set piece has definitely creaked at times, not looked one of the best in the world. They've lacked a bit of muscle at times against the other nations, but that genius was getting them through. And they are still unsure of their best 15/23, and I think I'll come back with a video just about that in the future. Are they going to go for a horses for courses approach where they actually mix and match their players? For example, does Akira Ioane come in if it's an open game and then goes away if they want some big grafters? What's their best centre partnership? Is it looking good enough? I'm not sure at the moment. Their wingers, which is a massive surprise for the All Blacks, haven't looked absolute world beaters. What's their best wing options? I think Geordie Barrett's got the fullback sewn up. So anyway, I'll do a video on that, not to go on about it. And in the autumn, they play a lot of games. They got a USA game, which is probably, again, a bit of a rotation exhibition type game. Then Wales, and they play Wales, unfortunately, for Wales, that is, without their Premiership players from England. So no Biggar, no Sheedy, no Lewis Rees-Zammit. That's a real shame. You'd certainly put All Blacks as massive favourites there without those players. Then Italy, which they should win fairly easily. And then it finishes with Ireland and France. Ireland and France should be fully stacked. They'll be absolutely fascinating. And certainly France have been talked up. We know how good they can be. We haven't seen their A-team this summer. So hopefully we'll get an All Blacks versus France clash at the end. Fully stacked. That'll be absolutely fantastic. Can they win all 5 games? Of course they can, and having won the Rugby Championship, it will be a good season. But will they be any closer to that best team as they build up towards the World Cup? Anyway, guys, that's how I see the 4 teams at the moment. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below, and I'll catch you next time.